All right, so here we go with another week drone assignment. All right, so this one here is going to be a simulation, another simulation of a job that you might get as a drone pilot. And so we're going to go over this. Let's go over this. It's going to be fun. Let's jump to, oh, come on. There we go. All right, so we're going to jump to this screen. So this is an example of a job that you might get. So your mission details, it's going to have your job address. Now let's just start here for just a quick second. This isn't the address that I want you to go to. This is just an example. I think what we're going to have you do is, at minimum, you're going to fly at the Chapman Dining Hall. That will be your mission if you're on campus. It doesn't have to be. You can go anywhere out in town, and when you see here in just a second, as I show you this example, you can go wherever you want. So if you want to go somewhere else and do it, just be careful. Make sure if anyone comes out there and complains, just let them know that you're an RSU drone student and you're flying to sample drone images. And if they ask you to leave, just leave. You'll have to just go somewhere else. So if you don't want to have to fool with that, the Chapman Dining Hall is great. And of course, for our remote learners and folks that live down in Tulsa, jump out and find a place that you can do. I really would like you to do a retail facility with a flat roof, and that's why you see here that I've got this one here that has a flat roof, because I want to incorporate air conditioning inspections. All right, so let's go to right here. Let's go to your mission details. So if this was a job that you got for real, this would have your address, your location, your flight date and time, airspace, and then some other information. As it comes down, it talks about the purpose of the flight. And so the main objective is for the client to be able to use the images to evaluate the condition and the assets that they're at the property and find out if they're being maintained properly and taken care of. This is giving a building footprint, parking lot, and landscape. So your deliverables, that's the word really that's used a lot in drone business, the deliverable, what you're able to give to your customer are going to be your things like your photos, your images, your videos, your 360-degree panos. And so this is kind of a, think about when you're writing a check and you have the section that says $250 that are just numerical, and then you have the section that's handwritten. So these are the handwritten instructions, and then you're also going to get a checklist, which is like the numerical. It's just the down and dirty information. Okay, so let's pop on here. Typically, the company that may hire you will provide you with mission details, and they'll give you a Google image or some sort of satellite image with markers around it. You'll see here how there are markers. And again, mission details, conditions, payment terms. This is a kind of a standard drone job form that you're going to get. Some of the drone companies like to make sure that you're safe, so they'll also include drone flight checklists. We kind of did this at the beginning of the semester. Here's one that is something that you should look at, and don't just assume that it's going to come as second nature, because these are things we have to remember. Our SD cards, making sure that our batteries, we have plenty of batteries for the mission. We have extra batteries, way to charge the batteries. So all the different things, the image settings, this is really, really important. They're going to ask for certain formats. So this one here is asking for JPEG or RAW, and you need to make sure that you're giving them those formats, and you can set those on your drone. Some in-flight reminders, and then once you complete the flight, what you do. So there's an example of what that looks like, and then finally you will use a checklist. Okay? So this checklist here is the checklist that you're going to use for your assignment. And we'll take a look at some of these. I want to talk about what they mean. So close-up shots of the roof, the mechanical and HVAC units to evaluate their condition. All right, let's pop over to somewhere. All right, so some of these images is here. Let's get them up on the screen so you can see it. Wonderful. So as we're going through, we're looking at the roof. So this is a good example of multiple images. Now I want you to notice that you'll see the darkness or the exposure changing. I took these in bracketed AEB, and that gives, here is your standard image with automatic ISO. So this is getting all of the settings for your exposure, your ISO exposure is done automatically by the camera. This next one here is underexposed, and the third one is overexposed. So there's time, especially when we're doing inspections, that if you just give them this image here, they may want something more. So when they're getting ready to zoom, and you can see here, let's look down here at this piece. Okay, it's not going to be too much of a difference, but so this underexposed gives us less of a view, and we'll look at this overexposed. So maybe there might be a little bit more visibility. It just depends. There's a lot of things that can happen, especially if you have shadowing coming across the image, that the overexposure will help fix that. Generally speaking, sometimes it's difficult to fly and get those images if you're trying to get it in a hurry for the batteries wear out without focusing. So using autofocus and AEB bracketing, you're giving at least three images, auto, under, and overexposure. So good idea to do when you're doing these type of inspections. So this is just your drone pushing along, and you see how we're getting pretty close shots of the roof. We're not looking straight down at the roof. We're looking out about 40 degrees. This sometimes will help that image come in a little bit clearer and be easier to see. Your customer typically will tell you what degrees they want to take those images at. Let's back up a little bit and get to here. So in that first sentence there, talked about roof inspections, mechanical, and HVAC. So you can spend time flying around each one of these. It's going to take a lot of battery power. So the trick is, let's say we're facing north, is to kind of fly north and hit your images. And then you'll see here in a second where now we're going to go backwards, fly south. And I'm picking up some things of interest. You see this piece of roof that I noticed it's missing a lot of gravel. I went ahead and gave them an up close of that. I'm still flying backwards, now getting the different view. So you may fly, let's say, for example, you fly forward, north, then you do a 360-degree turn, fly south. Now you've got the other side. Now you see here I'm picking up the west side, if it would be. And you'll see me flying along the west. And then when I get all the way to the end, my camera will flip around, and now I'm picking up the east side of the HVAC. If you do that, you're going to really save your battery power. All right, let's pop out of there. Images of the parking lot, so the client may assess the condition of the asphalt or concrete. Let's just jump in there real quick. We were just kind of at it. That's not it. So here you go. We're getting down at an angle, not doing 90. We're doing kind of a 40-degree angle so we can see. Now the customer can see the damage here, and they can actually run measurements of this or give this to an asphalt company to see all that. You see all that linear crack? Okay, that needs to be crack filled. So especially any kind of damage that you see, you're going to come around. It looks like this one's already identified. You've got the gas company. He's got the marking on the ground. So in order to do a full depth repair on this, you're going to have to hand dig around that gas line. So a lot of good information, and you're just kind of getting anything that you see doesn't look right. So this ponding is causing the damage to the parking lot, and that's something that's going to be useful for the facilities manager to see. As you're flying along, you notice that. So if I pull back, you notice this image down here. And I decided, well, we better go ahead and get an up-close shot of that so they can see whether this is ponding or that water main's actually leaking, it will eventually, if we can back up, it will eventually tear up. As you can see, it's tearing up. And with the dumpster over here, it's just going to keep getting worse. So get around the building, make sure you get good images of all of the driveway, all of the drive aisles. All right, so let's pop back to our checklist. Image of building access points, which include ADA ramps, curbs, and walkways. That's exactly what it means. So let's jump over here and see if I've got some of those to show you. All right, so here is what they're looking for. They're looking for the handicap parking stalls. They're looking for the entrance ramps so that they can zoom in and see if there are any elevation changes, any trip hazards that might cause problems for their customers. So you just go skirting along and looking at that. Let's back up here. I want to show you. This is a good example, I think. This is a standard. I took this image because anything greater than 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch is a bad ADA problem. And this sidewalk panel either needs to be ground down or replaced and made level. But watch this. Here we go. This is auto exposure. This is underexposure. And this is overexposure. So in this case, because that area was dark, that overexposure gave me a little bit more visibility so I can see. So let's pop back to this one. Whoops. So there you go. See, it's kind of dark. You see this is darkened edge. And then we'll go overexposed. And I've got a little bit more of a visual look. So it doesn't make them perfect. It just is going to give a little bit more exposure to make some things more clear. And in this case, obviously you don't want to fly down here while there's people. I'm actually holding this drone in my hands. And that's going to be for, I believe there's a spot on here. We'll hit it later. It may not say specifically in here, but it's always a good idea to get a picture of the sidewalk. So let me just pop over here and show you what we did. Oops, where are we at? Let's try this. All right, so remember there's 3 pictures on every image, and this is just me. Actually, the drone's powered on. It's not flying. I'm just carrying it down at a steady pace and using it for the high def camera that it is, okay? All right, let's go back to our checklist. Image of the landscaping to determine if it's being properly maintained. That's self-explanatory. Images of each exterior wall of the building to assess the condition. They want to know like the paint and everything, and so this is kind of what they're looking for. Let's see if we can get a side view. Right, I believe we start side views here. And again, these are going to be kind of, oh, that's not it. That's landscaping. All right, so there's 2 things in here. We're going to jump in here. You're going to start, make sure when you're doing this, you're using your little brain there, making sure that you're thinking things through. So you're going to read ahead. Because if you look on here, it says images of the exterior wall. And then somewhere in here, it talks about wanting dumpsters. Here we go. Overhead angled shots of dumpsters, enclosures, and trash receptacles. That's just underneath the one here where we're doing the walls. So while you're going down the road, you might as well hit them both. So that's what we kind of did here. I'm getting the side of the roof. You want to make sure you're getting the ground and some of the roof, and then start trunking down the walls. I'm getting them images that they can use of all their dumpsters. And it also asks for utilities. So any of these big utility pieces, they want that information. Give them some pictures so they can see what's going on. Let's move around. Okay, so this is the direct 90 degrees at the, so the camera's not at 90 degrees, but I'm perpendicular, or I'm sorry, I'm parallel. The drone is perpendicular, but the images are parallel to the building. We're just getting flat surface views, and we're just going to go all the way around the building. And again, you're seeing all these different color variations because I've taken it in AEB brackets. All right, if you have a tree, make sure that when you have a tree, you just document that, because some of the companies that you might work for might get upset. So just try to get the best images you can around there and then truck along. Whoops, sorry about that. I don't know why it's bothering me. Okay. Let's jump out of there because it's acting like there's no more images. All right. Let's jump over to our checklist. Overhead angle shots of the dumpster. I showed you images of signage that are properly on ADA handicap. If you take your images right, you'll have both of those together. Close-up of the monument sign. So if you happen to have, here's a good example of someone's. Let's jump over to, give me a second here because I've got all this stuff stored. So here's a good picture of, so this is the sign they're talking about. If there's a sign, and this is from one of our, look at that, one of our RSU drone students. If they have a sign like this, this is kind of the image that they're looking for. They want to try to get the sign and the building at the same time. And this is an absolutely wonderful image. So great job. All right. So yeah, you're just going to get close-ups of the parking lot lights. Now it also wants images of the drive-through areas. If there's a drive-through like fast food, identification of the backflow or any valves that you see coming into the building, and information on the riser room. The riser room is where the fire department connects to fight fires. We want a building overview from all cardinal directions. I'll show you that, bird's eye view, orderable photos, and flyover videos. So let's just pop back here to my images. All right, so we start to get some images, bird's eye view, cardinal view. So this is the let's call this the north. It just means 4 directions. So one face of the building is one direction, and take several images at several different altitudes so that they have ability to zoom in, look and do what they want to do. Then you're going to get over here. So here's a good example of when you're taking this image that you should only have just a sliver of the sky above. If you add too much of it, it really washes out your image. So if you don't have any at all, it kind of removes the 3-dimensional view. So kind of the rule of thumb is to have, just a little 10% or an inch or so of light above. Let's zoom over here. So again, I'm getting extra ones from the side, although they said just north, south, east, west. These are some images that you can add so they can have a good feel for what their place looks like. And listen, these images are better than they're getting from Google Maps. So you wonder, why don't you just go to Google Maps? They're much more high definition. So here we go now. If that was the north side, then hey, we're on the west side now. And we're just going to keep giving a couple images at different altitudes. Okay, now I'm pretty far back. And we'll come over here and get some of that side. And then bird's eye view. So this is the bird's eye view looking down at the 90 degrees. You want to typically you want to try to get at least one image of the entire building if you can get the right altitude. And then you want to start putting the entire building in 90% of the frame. And so there is 90% of the building in the frame, but it's not the whole building. So you'll have to take a series of images, make sure there's about 10% overlap. This gimbal angle's at 90 degrees. So of course there's 3 images, then you slide over 3 images, and you keep that up all the way till you get to the end of the building. We're going to come back over here. And so this is a pano shot. You're going to want to take, this is a 360 degree pano. And of course, if we put it in a 3D viewer, we can see that all the way around. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And then we're going to come over here. Again, you see how I got just a portion of the skyline. And we're going to do some videos. They basically just want to see their building in a flyby. And if you can put it in incline mode and take some nice slow tours around the building. Again, this isn't movie production. This is a chance for them to see how their building's operating. They see the flow of traffic. They see their lights. And they're going to want to see this in a couple different altitudes. So give it a second here and change some altitudes, give them a different perspective. They can look past and see, okay, there's a Walmart over there. And again, you see I'm keeping just a little bit of sky on the top as I'm getting all the way around their building, making sure that there's a lot to be seen. And so they're not just looking at their building, they're also looking at the area, because these are developers, so they're trying to see what's happening in the community around them, what anchor stores are there that's bringing business to their strip center, not just maintenance. So there's lots of things that go into maintaining a building. All right, so I think you get the idea here of the tour of the building, and you're supposed to do these in a couple different altitudes. I'm going to go, I guess I'm going to pull back here and make sure and get it from a different angle. And if you were going to produce this for a movie or something, you might want to go in and edit it and make it a little bit different. But for what the facilities guy's doing, that's all they need. Again, do that from a couple of different altitudes. So we're taking kind of the same thought process here and getting them at a lower altitude. They're able to see what's happening. So I'm not going to go all the way around the building. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to see this. You should shoot at least 2 or 3 different altitudes. And then it's always good to give them a front face of the building in a flyby. So this is just a flyby that goes all the way out. All right, so that's all I'm going to show you there. Here's some images of the fire sprinklers, the fire hydrant for the fire department. Any of these gas utilities, those are on the list that you're going to want to try to get. I'm on the ground just kind of picking up some stuff. You see there, oops, you see there's some damage. They could zoom in and watch. And then they talked about the fire riser room. That's the fire riser room. This is where they hook up the water into the building sprinkler system. This is the lockbox for the fire department. And you see the bell. The bell's always by that fire riser room, and that's what they're asking you to get an image of. So get some images of that. And I just picked up some final things that I saw as I'm driving away. And that's it. So that's going to get you through. I know that's a lot, but that's going to get you, it's not as much as you think. Probably going to take you two batteries, maybe 3 batteries, to get through this checklist over at the building. And then once you do that, we're going to jump over here to Kula.com. So you'll get you a an account at Kula.com. And what you're going to do is you're going to upload that panoramic view that you made. So here's an example of one that I have that's actually a drone flying inside a building that someone can use for their website for people to do walkthrough exploring. All right, so I'm going to upload, create a tour, And let's see if I can find, let me see if I can find that image. Where do I have it stored at? What am I looking at here? Oh, drone footage. Okay, so it's back on my external hard drive. Looking here, and panorama. Let me pull back and do this one. All right, let's come down here and try to find that panorama. Here you go. There's one right there. And we're going to open it up. And then you can name it. Oh, that's not how you spell Dollar Tree. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, once you get a name and some description information in there, you're going to hit post. I did it again, didn't I? All right, so over here in description, let's make whatever description you want out of it. You want to make sure all these settings are pretty good the way they are. So you shouldn't have to change anything. You want to make it public. That's number one. And so you can do a tiny planet. So this is you're going to get your choice. You can choose a tiny planet for your thumbnail, or if you don't choose that, then you can select something that you want to zoom in on. And with this image, now I'm just playing. I don't like any of those, so I think I'm going to get rid of this over here. I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to use my snapshot. So right over here, you click snapshot. And now its thumbnail is going to be the snapshot. Click save. Once you click save, you can actually go back to over here, your tours. And you see the Broken Arrow Dollar Tree. And there it is. Now your Broken Arrow Dollar Tree is loaded in a 360 pano. And if I was smart, I would go through and use the other one that's at a lower altitude, because then we could actually get maybe the front of the building as a snapshot or something more useful, right? This is so high altitude that it's cool. It looks nice, but doesn't really provide that much information. But that's okay. You're going to click share. You're going to get link. Oh, I went too fast, didn't I? Close. Over here on the right is share. And get link. And then you want to click down here for link. Click once. Okay, and it's copied. Copy it. And then paste that link into the assignment. So you're going to have the images that you're going to upload. And those are all these that we just talked about, which will include pano pictures, but then you're going to put the link to your Kula in your assignment. If you happen to have your own website and you want to embed it, there's HTML and JavaScript. So depending on what you use, I haven't tried Facebook. You might be able to embed it in Facebook. I'll try that and see how that works. But either way, that way in case you want to showcase your own stuff to someone, that's the assignment. That's what we have to do. So get busy. Shouldn't be as difficult as the one I did. I showed you because the Chapman is not that big. But if you choose to go out in town, you might want to choose to go to something. If I can get back over here, you might want to choose something smaller, like over here. Maybe one of these smaller buildings. I mean, not in Broken Arrow, but you get it. Like find some retail space that has smaller facilities. But primarily, what I want you to look for is ones with flat roofs, because they have the air conditioners on top that you're going to want to look for. Whew. Okay, sorry for the long video, but gosh, look, this is how we train. And if you have any problems or questions and you need my help, please reach out to me. Take your time, do it right. If you can't get it done by next Monday, just keep working on it. Don't give up. We'll get through this semester, and we're not going to worry about timelines, but try to get it done by Monday. Try to stay on track. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you.